What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV. Back with another video today about who should Arsenal sell in the January transfer window. And there's a lot of people we could actually get rid of. Before we get into the video, keep subscribing to the channel. Brilliant support on the latest videos, so thanks for all your support. Keep subscribing. Leave your comments. Let me know who you would sell in January. Smash that thumbs up button. So, look, 80% of this Arsenal squad we could probably sell in terms of not wanting to keep them. But the reality is the January transfer window is not an easy window to sell players, and it's not an easy window to buy players. If you're going to sell a lot, you've got to buy a lot. So I've named 4 players in this window. I could have quite easily named 10 or 11. But I'm trying to be realistic. You know, if players are in bad form and they're on big wages, not many clubs are going to be clamouring to buy them. So the 4 that I've named, obviously afterwards give me your list. Try and give me realistic players that we could probably get rid of and maybe reinvest the money. So I've named 4. Number 1, and the first guy I want to see out the door, is Mesut Ozil. 31 years of age, he turns 32 this season, and I think his time is up at the club. I think the whole number 10 position in general is changing. You look at the top sides now, the majority of them play with 3 out-and-out midfielders. If they do play with a 10, it's because they've got brilliant midfielders behind who can protect. I don't think Ozil is effective enough. 3 assists in the Premier League since the start of last season. 32 Premier League games, 3 assists for a guy that we used to call Mr. Assist. And 5 goals. It's simply not enough. 350k a week. We bought him for £42.5 million. He was our club record signing at the time. And I always say, I don't want to be disrespectful to Mesut Ozil, I felt like he was a huge signing for us because what he did, he opened the door for us to go and get players like Alexis Sanchez, Lacazette, Aubameyang. It gave us that big club status again, and it was a signing that we needed. I think unfortunately for him, his best years at the club, he didn't have the striker to make him look even better. You know, as a creative player, you're relying on the striker in front of you to make you look good by scoring the chances you're creating. And there was times, you know, I think one season Giroud went 15 games without scoring, and that doesn't help when you're the number 10. But we can't make these excuses anymore. He's got Aubameyang, who was the Golden Boot winner, Lacazette, who was Player of the Year last year, and he's not creating enough. You know, 3 assists in 18 months proves that. And then his attitude, particularly in the Europa League final in Baku, and the other day against Manchester City, you know, he sulks. I don't think he works hard enough at the right times. Yeah, sometimes his running stats say that he's ran around the pitch a lot, but I don't think he's effective enough with that running. And his whole attitude, I think, brings the team down at times. And I think it's time to move him on. A lot of people are fans of him, but I think his best days are behind him. The problem, you've got 350k, nearly 32. Who's going to take him? You know, the big clubs in Europe are not clamouring for him. Apparently, when he had offers from China, he had no interest in going to China. And he's quite openly said that he's very happy and settled in London. So it'd be very difficult to get rid of him. I think it could be a situation where Arsenal need to loan him and pay out maybe half of his contract while the loaning club pays the other half. But I'd get him off the books. Number 2, who I would sell in January, is Granit Xhaka. He's been unsuccessful as a signing since he's come to the club. Yeah, he's had decent games and good spells in the team, but in general, I don't think he's been good enough. What's more frustrating is the rumour is we signed him instead of Kante, which is ludicrous when you look back at that. And it just hasn't worked. They tried to give him the armband. Emery really backed him. He had the obvious fallout with the fans. He's just that second too slow on the ball. He doesn't see the picture quick enough. And in the Premier League, you do not get that time in midfield. And he's clumsy in the tackle. I think you could get decent money for him. Maybe back to the Bundesliga, or teams in Italy will link with him in the summer. I would try and move him on in January. All in all, he's been an unsuccessful signing. But one thing I can't question is his passion. He always gives us everything, but sometimes, you know, oversteps the mark, of course. And all in all, it hasn't been a good signing for 35 million. The number 3 who I would sell is Shkodran Mustafi. A disaster of a signing. When we first signed him, I think we had 20 games unbeaten with him and Koscielny at centre-back, and he looked like a decent centre-back. Gary Neville famously said, of course, when he was the Valencia manager, they couldn't give him away. They couldn't believe when Arsenal bought him for 35 million. And it just hasn't worked. The problem with Mustafi, again, high wages. Apparently we tried to sell him in the summer and couldn't. I think Monaco inquired about him on loan, but that never happened. And again, you may struggle to get a decent price for him, but I just think he's possibly the worst centre-back at the club, and I think it's time to move him on. And again, 35 million, it's been a complete disaster. And again, just a rumour. The rumour was Arsene Wenger wanted Kostas Manolas, and instead they signed Shkodran Mustafi. So that really hasn't worked. So he would be my number 3, who I would let go. But again, I think it would be difficult to get any decent money for him. My number 4 is Mavropanos. I don't think he's worked out at the club so far. He's struggled with injuries, and I think it's time for him to go on loan. Maybe not get rid of him. He needs to go somewhere, a low Premier League club or a decent Championship club, and get games. He looks naive when he plays. He doesn't look like he's accustomed to the speed of the league yet. And, I think it's time for him to go on loan. Maybe a prospect, but when I've seen him lately, he really hasn't looked up to scratch. Now, before I continue, I just want to say there are a number of other players that I would get rid of. But I'm just trying to look at January being a bad window. If you get rid of 5 or 6, you're going to need 5 or 6 to come in. And with the FA Cup, the Europa League, the remaining Premier League games, we're still going to need a big squad. You could make a case for every single defender at the club, probably apart from Tierney, who hasn't been here long, that you could get rid of every defender. A whole midfield as well really is not great. A player I was going to put on this list is Torreira, not because I want him to go, because it seems like he wants to leave. And he's playing in a totally different role now. He's like trying to be an attacking midfielder, which baffles me. But I would keep him, and I think, if Arteta is the new manager, I think he may be able to work with him. So they're my 4. I'm going Ozil, Xhaka, Mustafi and Mavropanos. As I said, people like Socrates, David Luiz, Chambers, Maitland-Niles, Bellerin, Kolasinac. You could make cases for selling all of those guys, but I just think, we'll struggle to sell the likes of Luiz and Socrates. Big wages, getting on as well. Holding, I think they'll keep. Chambers, I don't think is good enough, but I think I'd keep him till the end of the season. And we really need to probably add a right back in January, because it's not good enough when you're having to play Ainsley at right back. Let me know who you would sell. I think those 4, possibly Ozil. He would maybe go on loan, but you could get a loan fee, maybe 4 or 5 million quid. I think Xhaka would get. There were rumours that Inter Milan were going to pay 40 million for him in the summer. I think you could get 25, 30 million at least for Xhaka. Mustafi, I don't think you'd get more than 10, 15 million max. And Mavropanos on loan. So maybe, you earn 30, 40 million quid getting rid of those. That's who I would let go. In the summer, this list would be completely down to the floor. I would sell nearly all the squad. Let me know what you think. Who would you sell in January, particularly to raise funds and to create space to bring new players in? Keep subscribing to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll be back with more content later in the week. Bless.